Welcome back to the details now. And the Ghana Police Service has set up 2 committees to look into the death of a 27-year-old man allegedly killed by the police anti-robbery unit in Wa. Abu Bakr Shahid was shot earlier this month after police claimed he was an armed robber, sparking protest in his community. And Director General in charge of the administration at the Ghana Police Service, COP Christian Tete Yunu, who led a delegation sent by the IGP to commiserate with the family of Shahid, said the police will leave no stone unturned in their bid to get to the truth of the matter. Rafiq Salam reports from Wa.
The delegation of the Inspector General of the Ghana Police Service to the family of Abu Bakr Shahid, who was shot dead by the police on March 8, was led by the Director General in charge of Police Administration, COP Christian Tete Yunu. The purpose was to condole and to commiserate with the grieved family over the loss and also to inform them of the steps taken by the police administration to unravel the truth regarding the death of the 27-year-old Islamic student.
We are the people, you people have given us the uniform. We should work to protect life and property. We have done our best to make sure that the country remains safe. In the course of our work, where we go wrong, we will come back and say we are wrong and we are sorry. We plead with them that they should hold their hearts and let's just wait for these 2 special teams that have come to investigate what happened. And the outcome of investigation will come back here and then to confirm to them.
COP Christian Tete Yohonu disclosed that since the incident happened, IGP Dr. George Akufu-Dampare has not slept over the issue and has since set up 2 independent committees to look into the issue for the necessary action to be taken.
When we heard of this incident that happened, immediately the IGP did not sleep over it. He called the regional commander, that was around almost this time, that he should come to Accra, arrive in Accra the same day. We were waiting in the office up to around 10 p.m. when he arrived. So you see how seriously the IGP and the Police Management Board, they've taken the incident that happened seriously. Yeah. After the briefing, we still believe that we have to send independent police investigation teams to come and find out exactly what happened. Immediately, we have to dispatch PPSB, that is formerly called PIPS. And so they came. After that, we still believe that we should get another report to support whatever PPSB has done. So yesterday night, another special investigation team was dispatched by the IGP from the CID headquarters to also come and do in-depth investigation.
Family members of Abu Bakr Shahid, since his death, has insisted that the deceased was a mistaken target and for that matter, not an armed robber as put out by the police, and will want the name of the latter cleared from the despicable and disgraceful act. Spokesperson for the family, Mohammed Tamimu Kalusha, on behalf of the family, thanked the IGP for the steps taken so far to unravel the truth. Yarwa wants fairness and justice to prevail in their attempt to unravel the truth.
They have only one proposal. Where our son was going, that the man is still alive. If you could pick his number, our son's number, and that of the Fulani man at large, because he was to communicate that one of the third party should come where our brother was shot. Those other numbers to when you go to the telecommunication center, you can get audios between 7:30 to 8. I believe that was the time the incident happened. So that that one will also aid you in your investigation. However, they remain committed to your work, and they will remain calm and wait for the outcome. But justice is nothing but what they want.
COP Tete Yohonu, who was accompanied by the Director General of MTTD, COP Francis Ebenezer Doku, and the Chairman of the One Municipal Security Council and One Mayor, Isaac Otair Mumin, also had separate meetings with the father of the deceased, whose health condition, according to the family, has worsened, and the visual impaired mother, who is yet to come to terms with what transpired. COP Tete Yohono assured them of the police administration's commitment to get to the bottom of the matter and justice will be served. Reporting for JoyNews, Rafiq Salam.
Now, a non-governmental organization, Action Aid Ghana, is asking government to move away from conventional farming to agroecology. This is to save the country from food insecurity. Abubakar Ayuba, who is a Northern Ghana Integrated Development Project Manager, notes that Ghana needs to use natural resources to produce organic fertilizer, as food produced from chemical fertilizer is not good enough for consumption. Rafiq Salam again.
The Northern Ghana Integrated Development Project, NGIDP, is a 4-year project implemented by Action Aid Ghana in partnership with Urbanet and 3Aid. The project is funded by the European Commission with an amount of €2,799,354. The project, which started in 2019, seeks to promote opportunities for sustainable agriculture, social protection, and decent work in the agrarian sector for women, young people, and people living with disability in the northern belt of the country. It is being implemented in 15 districts and municipalities in 4 regions in the northern sector of Ghana. 3 municipalities and districts in the Upper West region, namely Lora, Sisala East, Wa East, and Lamuse, are benefiting from the project. With the project coming to an end in its 4 years of implementation, a stakeholder meeting was organized in Wa to take stock of the milestones, lessons learned, and as well as elicit feedback on sustainability of the project. Terence Tiena is the Upper Regional Programs Manager of Action Aid Ghana.
Over the period, some of the challenges these women have faced is access to agricultural services like tractor services, because mostly women are not able to farm very large acreages. Then the tractor operators are interested in farming the large acreages to make more money as compared to paying attention to women who have just 1 acre, 2 acres, or 3 acres to plow. So during our engagement, we had to work with the various district assemblies to see how they could create an enabling platform for these women to be able to get these services. And through their women's associations, their VSLA associations, they are able to mobilize their money and also engage some of the tractor operators to be able to provide these services to them. Also, another challenge they have over the period encountered is access to inputs like fertilizer. They are not able to access the subsidized fertilizer, which means they have to go into the market to buy what is within the market. And also access to market after they produce. They are unable to market most of their produce. They have to only rely on their local markets. Therefore, the project provided some training and linkages to external markets where they can sell their produce and be able to get some reasonable amount from their yields.
Manager for NGIDP, Ayuba Abubakar, proposed to the government to move away from conventional farming to agroecology to save the country from food insecurity.
We should use our natural resources to produce for our own consumption. We have seen that fertilizers are killing us. You know, we have so many diseases and sicknesses because of these fertilizers, and our lands are getting exhausted. And for us, we are advocating for what we call food sovereignty. If you have to be food sovereign, then you have to have control over your resources. Nobody from anywhere, Russia or Ukraine or anywhere, should tell you that I won't give you fertilizer. And when they tell you they won't give you fertilizer, then you can't farm. It means that you don't have control over your resources. And so that is what we are working towards. And we hope that other stakeholders, other NGOs will join us in this movement so that we talk to our government to move from conventional agriculture to agroecology to actually save our country from food insecurity.
2 women beneficiaries of the project who spoke to JoyNews commended Action Aid for coming to their aid.
We used to farm maybe 1 acre. Since we are not having money, then maybe that acre, because you are not even having money to buy fertilizer, or you don't even know how to sow how to weed around it, the time to apply your fertilizer and other things, you get low yields. But since they have come and they train that female extension officers, they also train us on how to do it. Even they are also part of this MOFA people who also help in training us on how to do. So now we get good yields. Maybe first we used to get 2 bags of maize from 1 acre, but now we can get 10-15 bags of maize from an acre.
So in actual fact, the tilling of the land is something that we are enjoying most, because we don't just farm anyhow. We have regulated our farming practices, and if before Action 8, we will just pick our animal residue or whatever, compost or whatever that we have, we just go and spread it anyhow on the farm. But the Action 8 program has made us to understand that we don't spread the compost anyhow. You look at strategic places that need much of what you are applying.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam. Wow.
Now, the Upper West Regional Youth Organizer of the New Patriotic Party, Abdul Hamid Sana, is asking residents in the region to keep the MPP party in power because it is the only party that gives the region its fair share of development. He says the opposition National Democratic Congress has done very little to develop the region despite winning many seats there. Abdul Rafiq Salam reports from Kalio.
The work embarked on by the regional youth and women's wings of the New Patriotic Party MPP, according to organizers, is a memory of Chief S.D. Dombo and other founding fathers of the MPP. Kalio, home of one of the founding fathers of the party, Jato Kalio, was chosen for the work. Mates of supporters of the party in the region, majority of whom being under the youth brackets, converged at the Kaleona Yiri Park before moving into the Wa Kaleona Dulu main highway. They walk, sang and danced to music, blaring from loud sound speakers on top of a Kia truck. After almost an hour and walking about half a mile, they returned to the starting point and addressed by their leaders.
We have been quiet for some time now. We have been so quiet about the tradition of this party, and we have allowed other political parties to take our region as their base and, of course, their origin. And it is time for us to demonstrate to our people and to the nation as large to know that the MPP tradition starts from here, and we have the people who laid the solid foundation of the party from the Upper West region. And for that matter, everybody should embrace the MPP tradition.
Added to the list of activities is a medical screening exercise. Upper West Regional Youth Organizer of the MPP, Abdul Hamid Sana, averred that the MPP is the only party that can best develop the Upper West region and should be given more presidential votes and parliamentary seats in the next election to fully develop the region.
NDC is never an option in this country. NDC is only a party of desperation, being led by a desperate leader. But if you look at the MPP, our main objective in this country is to deliver and for the good people of this country and develop our country and develop ourselves. So if you see MPP doing anything, there is always a benefit attached to it. If you look at the Nandoli Kaleo constituency, Jato Kaleo is from here. NDC have led this constituency for over 24 years. Nothing they have contributed to the people here. They haven't done anything to improve the lives of the people in Nandoli Kaleo constituency. So it goes a lot to tell you that we are just appealing to the conscience of our people. See me youth in Nandoli Kaleo constituency. This time coming up, the elections coming up, please come 2024. They should try and give the MPP an opportunity. I think we are the better option to lead and rule in Nandoli Kaleo constituency.
Upper West Region Women's Organizer of the MPP, Nancy Edery, on her part, is happy with the turnout, stating that the party is battle ready for election 2024.
I can assure you that how we have taken off from the start of 2024, the NDC should watch out. We are coming up big and massive, and at least to share the seat with them. Plans are in progress now. So far, we have kick-started with the women's wing. Constituencies have been visited. We are ongoing. We are still touching base with our polling station executives to get grips of women who are even floating voters and those that are yet to find their way, and to form a formidable force with our already existing strong women in the system.
Family members of Jato Keleu and Chief Abaifa Kabo also spoke at the function.
And we, as the young ones coming up, we should learn from what they've done for New Patriotic Party. They've played their role. They sacrificed all what they have to build New Patriotic Party for today's generation. As they've known that their grandchildren and their children will be taken over from what they've done before. Having passed it through down to my late father, Alhaji Umar Kabo, as a former regional chairman of the regional first vice chairman of the MPP, I also passed it down to his son, his last one, standing here talking on behalf of my constituency, Amal Umar Kabo. I'm working tirelessly to uplift what our great-grandfather has done for the New Patriotic Party.
Reporting for JoyNews, Rafik Salam, Keleu.
Now, the Bono Regional Communications Officer of the National Democratic Congress is asking government to retire the Commissioner General of the Ghana Revenue Authority. Charles Tufor has described as unacceptable government decision to extend Reverend Amishade Owusu's contract. He says he will lead a delegation to picket at the head office of the authority if government fails to heed to his demand to cancel his contract.
We are just pleading. We sent a reminder that was 3rd of March to the OSP, and we're asking what he did to Kenneth Damwa and other people. The OSP went to court. He went to court and told the court that Kenneth Damwa has overstayed. He must leave the office. According to his own intelligence, nobody prompted him. But this one, we have prompted him over a month ago. We have sent a reminder, but as we speak, no response. So we have decided to picket at the GRA headquarters come 24th of this month. We'll walk through Accra Sports Stadium, through Parliament, Ridge Roundabout, and send our petition to the president that at least he should live by his word. We'll be 25 in number, 25 plus myself, and not more than 25. It will be lesser. We don't want to embark on demonstration. This is just a picketing and a walk to present our case. And I think the president must pay attention to his own word. I made reference to Domelevo of Auditor General, Mr. Kofinti, same GRE, Canada Demwa, the same GRE. And you know that DSP Kofi Boachi is on leave to proceed on retirement. One of the finest in terms of operation and policing in this country. It's like he's a champion in his own capacity, but the man is going. So if they are using the newspapers to push, as we saw last week, that most of the newspapers were pushing, oh, we should allow the experienced retirees to stay. But Kofi Boachi is an experienced person as well. Why has the Ghana Police Service allowed him to go? Why has the president, because you know he's a commissioner of police, why have they allowed him to go on retirement? Once he has the energy and his health is okay, the skill is there and everything. I doubt if Mr. Adai Reverend is still at GI because of his experience.
Now, an economist and political risk analyst has highlighted some downsides of the gold for oil policy. Dr. Teo Echampon says the prices of the gold for oil consignment on the market are higher compared to those from other sources of fuel. He's been speaking on news analysis program Newsval.
The second policy objective is to bring down price at the pump, right? As we speak currently in the recent pricing window, the gold for oil products that came in are actually selling slightly higher than products that are on the market that the normal BDCs who are not participating in this policy program are doing. And there are a couple of news reports out there. Ijapa can speak to this and correct it if that is not the case. But if you look at the numbers that are out there, petrol, for example, and our good for oil is selling for about 9.6 cedis a liter. And from the non-good for oil sources, right, your normal BDCs, they are selling it at about 9.1 cedis per liter. So you go almost like a 50 peso difference. You have similar thing with diesel as well. So when the government now comes and claims that, oh, because of good for oil, the price has, dropped from 20 something to about 10 or so, 13 or so cedis. Clearly, that cannot be the case, because what is driving the price at the local level, which is a function of the international price, and crude oil prices have actually come down a bit. It's a function of the exchange rate. We've seen the exchange rate stabilize relatively. It cannot be the case that all of the drop that we're seeing is fully attributable to this gold for oil policy. So I think a bit of the communication and the PR, which is seeking to make the government look as though it's really because of this policy that prices have dropped, that is not fully the case.
Meanwhile, a member of the National Democratic Congress communications team, Godwin Eduzi Tamaklo, has described Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia as engaging in rash talk. Mr. Tamaklo says this is why the Vice President led government to strike a $2 billion deal titled Master Project Support Agreement with a hydropower engineering and construction firm, a Chinese state-run firm, Sino-Hydro Corporation Limited, in September 2018, with nothing to show.
The fear of the minority, first of all, has a certain historical basis. You know, our Vice President has this penchant of engaging in rash talk. And this rash talk, with the benefit of time, had rather exposed the fact that our Vice President is really not thorough when it comes to policy issues. Second, we were here in this country when the Vice President said he was bringing another novelty here, Sino-Hydro. You recall? And we told him that, listen, Sino-Hydro, from the document and the framework agreement that we have seen, it is not what you are projecting. In fact, it's a loan. So comfort, let's know how this is going to impact on our overall public debt portfolio. He said NDC members do not read. Today, as we speak, by June, the Sino-Hydro transaction comes to an end. We are yet to process even one ton of bauxite, create an escrow account, use the money to offset whatever the Sino-Hydro. They have disbursed $600 million dollars. So that 600 million, instead of using your bauxite to pay for it, it has now become part of our public debt.
Now, away from that, the Ghana AIDS Commission says managing the spread and treatment of HIV/AIDS is at risk following irregular inflow of antiretroviral drugs due to finding difficulties. The Commission needs about $133 million annually to fund its activities, but it barely receives 40% of its budget. Director General Dr. Treme Etiahene is calling on the private sector to help. There is more in the following report by Prince Kwame.
The debriefing meeting for the midterm review of the National TB and HIV Strategic Plans 2021 to 2025 is meant to examine the progress and shortfalls of the implementation process. The National HIV Strategic Plan is aimed at diagnosing 95% of people with HIV, 95% of people diagnosed to be put on antiretroviral medication, and 95% of people on the antiretroviral medication reaching a non-transmission stage by 2025. The meeting brought together government entities, private sector operators, and civil society to review the progress of work and to chart the way forward. Speaking at the forum, the Director General of the Ghana AIDS Commission, Dr. Treme Etiahene, said even though Ghana is making progress, lack of funding is impeding work.
And the key highlights has clearly shown that we are on course in terms of the trajectory of various indicators. For example, new infections are declining, AIDS deaths declining across ages and gender. We are also seeing increasing uptake of services. We are seeing the number of people living with HIV who are being diagnosed going up. Number of people receiving antiretroviral treatment, both adults and children, also going up. So these indicators clearly show that we are making progress. But the pace of the progress is so slow that we are still underperforming. And the main reason for this is that we are not making adequate investment to give us the response, the results that we seek to achieve.
Dr. Etienne also called on individuals and private sector to donate to the HIV fund to support the fight against the viral disease.
Yes, we have 60% deficit in funding, and that accounts for the slow pace of progress of the AIDS response. And so what we are doing is to work with government. Government has set up AIDS fund. That fund must be resourced. And so we besides government, we know the economic situation. Government cannot do it all. And so the private sector, the general public must all contribute. And so the commission, which is the custodian of the fund, has put in place the necessary mechanisms to enable people to contribute. So we have a short code for donation into the fund by, the normal electronic transfer platform or arrangement. And 9898 is actually one of our targets. From 2025 to 2030, that will be our target. And so we want all Ghanaians to appreciate the fact that the 9898 target must be achieved. And if it has to be achieved, then we must address the 66% funding gap or deficit in order for us to achieve these targets. And we count on all Ghanaians to support the AIDS Fund.
Program Manager for the National AIDS STI Control Program, Dr. A.C. Addo, said HIV is still prevalent, hence the need for people to be cautious.
In the year 2022, when I announced that the number of people we've identified as positive by half year was 24,000, a lot of Ghanaians were afraid and running helter-skelter. And people were asking as follow-up whether indeed HIV was real or was still around. I said HIV is around, despite the fact that COVID-19 had overshadowed everything. And I promised them that by the end of the year, I think the figure may double. And I'm happy to announce, ladies and gentlemen, that by the end of December 2022, we identified 49,500 new cases, almost 50,000 new infections. Now, this is after we had taken away those who had retested. This is to let you know that HIV is still real and transmission is going on. So the figures that were provided as new infections, it will interest you to know that for the children, almost 20%, 19% of that came from children. If you take the estimated population of people living with HIV, 7%, however, are children, majority females.
Now, the Nkoranza Divisional Police Command has begun investigation into the alleged burning of properties by a aggrieved resident of Ashiem, who are accusing the Nkoranza Traditional Authority of selling their farmlands to a non-resident investor. The residents, who are mainly farmers, allegedly marched to the mango farm of the investor and eventually set ablaze a house constructed to provide shelter for the laborers and subjected 3 of the laborers to severe beatings before cutting down some of the mango trees that have been planted.
Days after embarking on a massive demonstration in protest of the alleged sales of Ashayim farmlands to unknown investors, these aggrieved residents of Ashayim marched to the farms to allegedly attack workers of the investor and in the process burned down these structures that served as a hut for the hired laborers. Yakubu Isaku is one of the victims of these attacks. He tells me what happened on that fateful day. It was around 10 a.m. that farmers got here and started beating us, asking for the whereabouts of our manager. And when we failed to produce him, they continued with the beating before finally setting the structures ablaze. The alleged attackers, after nearly 4 hours of distractions, further conveyed Yakubu Isaku to the Ashayim community, where he, together with the other victims, were handed over to the traditional authority. There were more than 100 in numbers. I told him this in the absence of the manager. He also told him they went to the place, subjecting us to some beatings. Amabadu was also on the farm when the incident occurred. Though she was spared from the beatings, she tells me she has since been traumatized by what she witnessed during the attacks. I cried a lot after witnessing what they did to the guys. I have since been traumatized. Because even as I stand here with you, I'm still afraid because they told us they will attack us again anytime they see us here. So I'm still afraid. I have to stay away from food for 4 days due to what I witnessed. For the investor whose farmland and properties worth hundreds of thousands of Ghana cedis were destroyed, Nana Kweku Atakra, the alleged unprovoked attack is a sign that the people around are against his decision to help promote agriculture as well as provide jobs to the people. I moved several miles into the forest to avoid having problems with people. There are others ahead, but their farms were not attacked, so it shows clearly I was their target. Nana Kweku Atakra's humble appeal to government and the security agencies is to help fish out the perpetrators of the attack to prevent further attacks on innocent individuals. I'm appealing to government to help fish out the perpetrators before they others. He, however, denied the alleged claims by these farmers who are claiming to be the rightful owners of the lands, and also asked that his farm project will go a long way in complementing the government's planting food and jobs policy.
As I see it, Nanan Kransa Himadia. To Nanan Kransa Hima, and Wakasu, was a civil or demand crofo at the Bruno Cromo Mrenibi. The land belongs to the queen mother of the Nkranza traditional area, and she's the one who gave it to me to farm it. I want government to come to my aid because this is in conformity with government's quest to help develop the country through agriculture. For now, the Nkranza Divisional Police Command has initiated investigations into the matter to help bring sanity to the area. Anna Sabit, JoyNews, Ashayim.
Now, away from that, the Deputy Minister of Education in charge of technical and vocational education training has commended Sunyani Technical University for their foresight in training STEM and TVET-oriented students. Gifty Chum Ampafo, who was speaking at the university's graduation ceremony in Sunyani, said such creative thinking students are needed to solve challenges, including those brought on by climate change. And as a bit as well.
The 15th graduation ceremony of Sunyani Technical University on the theme Innovation and Entrepreneurship Skills Education for Sustainable Development had a total of 2,286 student graduates, including 787 females, representing 34.4%, for the award of BTech, HND, and diploma certificates. In his address, the Vice-Chancellor, Professor Kwadwo Dinkrapia, said a new gender policy in line with the strategic plan of the university has been approved.
Affirmative action, including 20% discount for women in engineering programs at the university and priority attention for women who qualify for employment, has been prescribed in the policy to promote the development of women in the university. The gender policy, in tandem with the existing sexual harassment policy, will also help streamline gender issues in the university.
He bemoaned the lack of office accommodation for staff, inadequate classrooms and hostels for students, and poor internal road network, and appealed for a quick fix to aid teaching and learning.
Honorable, so you inform the minister himself so that you work towards this, because it is very key to the Sunyani Technical University, so that you can help us complete the phase 2 of the Get Fund Science Park project to provide more classrooms and offices for staff, help construct a 1,000-bed capacity hostel to accommodate our cherished students, provide an asphalt overlay on all campus roads.
The Deputy Minister of Education in charge of technical and vocational education training, Gifty Chumampofo, said the government has a mandate to achieve in STEM and TVET education in the next 2 years. She commended STU for leading the way in training students capable of solving the challenges of today.
Many problems brought on by climate change demand fresh thinking and creative solutions. And I'm glad to commend the university to go beyond government targets by training over 67% of students, especially graduates today, being STEM and TVET oriented. The government has a mandate to reach that target in the next 2 years. A crucial component of sustainable development must be education and training that encourages students to think creatively and entrepreneurially. This government has intensified effort to transform the phase of technical and vocational education and training TVET to produce a critical mass of assertive and employable youth to spear our socio-economic transformation.
Awards were presented to deserving students, with Musa Mercy named the overall best student. Precious Semevo, JoyNews, Sunyani.
Now, residents of Diampompon in the Jambi municipality are evacuating their homes following the failure of authorities to discharge gas from a Burkinabe-bound tanker that was involved in an accident in the area. They are also desisting from preparing naked fire close to the scene. Mahima Ntewia, who visited the community, reports that the residents are still living in fear.
Residents described the abandoned gas tank as disaster in waiting. The tank lies on its side in a big drain, sandwiched by residential homes on the Kubasi-Diapompo stretch of the main Kumasi-Accra road. The truck driver is said to have driven away the dismantled head of the truck immediately after the accident. The fire service, after an initial assessment, has asked residents to self-evacuate and desist from setting naked fire to prevent possible explosion. DO3 Richard Aweso is the Konongo Municipal Fire Commander.
The police department and the fire department went there to assess the situation. In fact, we did some assessments and noticed that there was no leakage. However, we might not know circumstances that can happen around it for the leakage to occur. So we're engaging the residents to observe basic safety measures, setting naked lights. If possible, they should even evacuate till we are done handling the whole situation.
But residents accuse officials of doing little to evacuate the gas tank.
As we are talking now, our lives are in danger. Our lives are in serious danger, my brother. Since last Saturday, this gas tank has been here. what happened was this car had an accident, and the MTTD police managed to take away the head of the car and left the tank, which can explode and kill a lot of people here. Fire commander told me yesterday that if we have the means, if it's possible, we should evacuate our families from this place. But you see, my brother, it's not easy. Finding a place for a whole family like this is not easy.
This is my residence. And look at what is happening here. How do I sleep with my family? I can't sleep with my family. Because I think of myself, my family, and even the whole town. What will happen next? And so I just can't sleep.
We are all living in fear. We are aware of a similar situation that cost a whole town. A similar situation can happen to this our small community too.
The Municipal Fire Command is exploring possible options after several failed efforts to get the Burkinabe driver to evacuate the liquefied petroleum gas tank. The author Richard Aweso has appealed to residents to remain calm.
We are not leaving any stone unturned. If they are not moving from their side, we are looking for another truck from either another OMC or dealer so that we can do that offloading, even without their involvement.
But until the gas tanker is removed, residents of Diapompo would continue to live in fear. From Diapompo in Ashanti region for Joy News, Ohimeteria reporting.
Now, the British Council and its partners have launched the VET Toolbox project to support human capital needs of value supply chain development and investment programs. The project will focus on supporting the facilitation of private-public dialogue and development of PPP. Martina Bugri has the report.
The VET Toolbox project is being implemented in the Northern Savannah and Northeast regions. It will help support vocational training institutions to deliver training in line with investment needs, stimulate VET reforms through capturing lessons learned, and promote good practices models, among others. Speaking at the launch, British Council Country Director Nido Dudodo said there was a mismatch between skills and employment opportunities.
Compare this to the fact that Ghana's youth unemployment situation is rising. The World Bank puts it at around 12% or more. And when it comes to underemployment, they put it around 50%. And all these are higher than the overall statistics in Sub-Saharan Africa. Take this to the whole Sub-Saharan Africa. 60% of Africa's population are under 25 years. And it's estimated that by 2030, 42% of young people globally will probably be living in Africa. All these show a total mismatch between employment opportunity and skills development. It's for this reason and more that we are excited to be here launching the VET Toolbox project. This is a project funded by the European Union and GIZ to support demand-driven and inclusive vocational education and training in all countries, in 11 countries in Sub-Saharan Africa.
Programs officer at the macroeconomic unit of the European Union in Ghana, Marta Bridge-Nonne, called for partnership if they want to succeed.
With the team from the city vet, also by Chancellor, it was in another context, but we were also discussing about how the European Union and the partner could maybe not make the difference, because it's not with one project that we can really make the difference. But if we are together, a project that is well embedded in our reality, in a context that exists, with or without a project. If we can rely on solid partnership and support from the national and regional authorities, in that case, we have a high chance of contributing to make changes. Changes for the people.
The Director General of TVET Service Ghana, Mrs. Mawisi Awiti, said involving women was a good thing because of the huge numbers of female-headed households in the country.
To be able to get the people very much empowered, not just provide the livelihoods, but you support it with markets. And the livelihoods I see as a toolbox, having to build the capacity of the people in the country and targeting the North. Yes, the North, because God has blessed the North with many things. Just that we are underestimating and undervaluing. But I've done much of my work in the North, and I know what God has given to the North that we are ignoring. And I'm very much happy that women are being involved in this, because we have many female-headed households in this country.
Now, the Pro-Vice Chancellor of Ghana Telecom University, Robert Hinson, says that building the right customer experience is critical in ensuring the sustainability of the Africa Continental Free Trade Agreement. According to him, SMEs could collapse if they fail to build a resilient customer experience routine, which will capture the needs of customers and ensure that they are satisfied.
We've been touting this after thing. I said, I hear about trade barriers coming down. I hear about expansion in the African market. It's a 2 billion market. All those big words. So my question was, where is the role of marketing and service excellence in this whole Africa Continental Free Trade discussion? Because Isaac, with all due respect, even if the borders exploded and I got an order from Richards Bay in South Africa and I'm sitting in Ghana, me, email, I don't respond. When you call, I don't respond. When I say I'll deliver on Tuesday, I deliver on Saturday. Why would they buy for me again? I have no standards. I have no standard operating procedures. I have no service level agreements. I have no codes of service conduct. As an institution, I have corporate values. I have not broken them down to service behaviors people can follow. Meanwhile, I say Africa Continental Free Traders can. And so what?
We'll take a quick break and we'll return and we'll bring you business. Welcome back. Now let's do some business. And Chief Executive of Access Pension Trust, Efrie Owari, says the allocation of more than 90% of pension funds in the country to government is an ineffective way of distributing funds. He contends that the private sector should rather be the beneficiary of pension funds to grow the economy and create employment. Speaking to Joy Business at the 5th edition of Access Pension Trust Pension Strategy Conference, Mr. Owari stated that such an unhealthy competition between government and the private sector for fund crowds out businesses.
Said there is the need for a reassessment of its funds directed to government. According to Efrie Owari, government has not been productive with these funds, hence the need to target the private sector to support government's quest of expanding the economy.
In Ghana, we have 94% of our pension fund assets sitting with government. So the question is, which of the economic agents is driving growth? Is it government? Is government more productive? Because our role is to allocate capital to the most productive agents of the economy. So if you look at government expenditure over the years, it appears even capital expenditure, which is supposed to be the growth generating investments of government, is only taking up 16%. In the past, I think it was actually 9% of government budget. So it is not efficient for us to continue to give money to government just for expenditure. It's like investing in a company that is not generating any profit. All they do is, spending on profligacy and not really investing to drive the growth of the business.
He further commended the National Pensions Regulatory Authority for its investment guidelines to allocate 20% of its assets.
Pension funds will begin to invest a lot more in the listed equity space, where we are able to invest up to 25% of our capital. So, simply speaking, the investment policy does not restrict us. It's been more of the lack of options on the market and the sentiment of our contributors that prevents us from taking a lot more risk with private companies.
The 5th edition of the Pension Strategy Conference is under the theme Positioning Pension Funds to Thrive Beyond the Domestic Debt Exchange Program.
Now, the Association of Women Accountants Ghana has inducted new executives into office to steer affairs for the next 2 years. Speaking to Joy Business after the inauguration ceremony, newly elected president Madame Moshi Patience Moshi Jukunu pledged her team's commitment to attract more females into the accountancy profession in the country. There is more in the following report.
According to President of AWAG, Patience Moshi Jukunu, as of January 2023, only 1,900 out of 10,000 members of the institute were females, a development that defeats the aim of the association. She therefore pledged that the new leadership will work assiduously to increase the numbers by intensifying the already rolled out AWAG mentorship and outreach programs in senior high schools across the country.
Our focus currently is to ensure that we have a lot more females getting into the accountancy profession. And how are we going to do that? That is going to be through our mentorship and outreach programs. So our outreach programs is going to go into the schools. Currently, we know that a lot of the students are going away from business. We realize that business is dwindling. The students offering business is dwindling. So we intend to go into the schools and encourage them to take the accountancy profession, which is very good, very fulfilling, so that we increase the numbers. And our focus is going to be on the females.
She believes that many young people are shying away from pursuing the profession due to inconsistencies in the country's banking sector.
Previously, most people would love to work in the banks, the collapse of the banking sector, people losing their jobs and all that. I think that is what has scared a lot of parents, that they are, telling their children, no, you cannot go into business, because everybody thinks that once you go into business, then you end up in the banks. They loved, previously it was a prestige to be in the banks, but right now they tend to get scared because they don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. The future looks kind of bleak. So they feel that no, they would rather do something different, which is going to the sciences.
The immediate past president of AWAG, Elsie Bunyan, charged the incumbent board to work diligently to continue the association's SME project, which aims at promoting good governance.
So we started the SME project. It's a project that we intend to give back to society, using our experiences and our skills and our talents to be able to support them with their audits, accountancy, tax, and business development. So I'll charge them to continue do that, because we want to do that as a service to our nation.
Well, that's all we have for you on Joy Newsroom. There's more on myjoyonline.com. Do have a nice day.